Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Ashley Rose, and today we are going to be talking about the new moon in Aquarius that happens February 1st, 2022. I am really excited for this new moon for a couple different reasons, but first off, it is the start of a new lunar cycle, so happy Lunar New Year. But secondly, it's the first day of the month that we experience this new moon, and so I love readings around this time because it really does set a tone for what the rest of this month is going to be like, and even the rest of what this Lunar New Year or this lunar year is going to be like as well. With it being in Aquarius, it is a time for reinvention, a time to be a humanitarian. Aquariuses are known for being revolutionaries, to kind of forging their own path and sticking to their own kind of ways of viewing life and seeing things. It's a time where we can expand our thoughts, expand our ideas, expand the way that we are thinking about our success and how we're going to kind of change our inner world to match the success that we want to see in our outer world. New moons especially are a time for setting new intentions, coming up with new things that we want to manifest. It's a time where it is at its lowest energetic point, so we are going within to reflect. We've been reflecting a lot this beginning of the year because we've been in Mercury retrograde, we've had Venus retrograde, we have all these things pulling us inward, so that when everything goes direct on February 3rd, we can kind of move forward with just like our foot on the gas of like knowing what we need to do, not having old things kind of clouding up our energy. So again, it's a good time to reflect on what has happened in the last lunar cycle, what worked, what didn't, what we're willing to change so we can move forward. This new moon has a really big emphasis on being a visionary, on coming up and seeing clearly what the future has in store for you. It's almost like, with Mercury retrograde kind of clouding everything, this new moon in Aquarius kind of comes to help us kind of refocus and give us the clarity that we need and what we need to see on what we would like our life to be like. So it's a really good time throughout this new moon to think about and journal, I should say too, like, where do we see our life? How do we feel at that time? What do we want our life to feel like? What are the relationships we want to have in our life? And what are the environments we want to be in? Because what we come up with now, like this new moon specifically is a really good time to like sit and like hash it out with yourself, with your journal, write down and really kind of like, outline exactly how you see, or not even like outline, but like really pick apart how you see your life to be, what you want to feel in it, where you want your success to be, and just really come up with these big picture type ideas, because we're going to start really integrating that within this month and even within these next couple of months. Major themes with this new moon is reinvention and reflecting on how we speak to ourselves, and how we speak up for ourselves, and how we think about the path that we're on. So in terms of like, are we speaking to ourselves kindly? Are we supporting our ideas? Are we supporting, our creativity, the things that we're going after, or are we kind of shying ourselves away? Are we still kind of living in that fear? Or, is how we are talking to ourselves what is maybe holding us back from going on this path? Or maybe we're on a path that isn't exactly aligned for us, and we might be, talking to ourselves a little harshly on the inside because it's not really what we want to be doing. But with this new moon, we have an opportunity to refocus where we are going and what we really want out of our life. Again, it's a time of reinvention, and it's not like we're reinventing how we look on the outside, but really reinventing our minds and how we're allowing like our thoughts and ideas to kind of take up space, and trying to just get things done differently, right? Like doing the same habits and thinking the same things only produce the same results, right? So now we're in this space where we are ready and we are willing to try new things, try new thought patterns, pick up different habits to create a different product, right? Because we can't get to a new place doing the same things. So play around with that, have fun with it. This new moon comes for us to kind of have fun and get in touch with that little weirdo within us, that weird side that we're a little unsure to let come out. That tapping into that, our authenticity, will really serve us well with this energy of the new moon, because there's a lot of things that are ready to be changed and a lot of things that are ready to be kind of shaken up. And the best way to kind of go about that is to have fun with them and to, again, think about the way that you're speaking to yourself and not make it harder. You know, I think I've talked about this in my daily tarot readings or maybe even monthly readings, to, you know, like with all the things that are going on within the world right now and just challenges that are rising and lessons that we're going through. Why are we making it harder on ourselves by, you know, talking harshly to ourselves or talking down to ourselves or being mean to ourselves? That doesn't help us. That actually kind of hinders the process. So with this new moon is going to be helping us kind of look at those things and how can we bring in a more gentle conversation with ourselves. So we're thinking about, our experiences, how we express our narrative, and, you know, again, looking at that big picture. So this could be coming from a time where we've played victim in the narrative that we told ourselves and the narrative that we told other people, and we're really looking at that and we're kind of changing the way that we want to speak about things because, you know, we're in this space where we're ready to move forward. We are really, truly ready to leave the past behind and stop picking up the old stories of before because it's kind of becoming, I feel like, redundant and like we're tired of hearing it. I feel like other people are tired of hearing it, and it's this time to really, you know, pivot forward and think about our future, not in a way where we are escaping from the past, or not escaping from the past, escaping from the present, but where we're optimistic and where we're excited and we no longer need to go back to the past to validate our feelings now. We are and have been working through that to where we don't really need to open back in. We don't need to tap back into feeling like a victim or tap back into feeling some of these traumatic experiences when we've already, you know, done the work that we needed to heal them. Now it's time to take that knowledge, take that strength that we've learned, the lesson that's come through, and really apply it to what we're doing in our life. So, you know, again, having these intimate conversations with ourselves, you know, about our perspective, about how we see the world, about how we see ourselves, about the narratives that we're telling in our life, the narratives that we are allowing our reality to take up space in. It's time for us to kind of just explore new things and, again, be a visionary about our future, be a visionary about our life. We are in control of what we're doing, and especially because the sun's in Aquarius, the moon is in Aquarius, and it is this very harmonious energy of allowing our minds to expand and come up with new ideas. So if there are old expectations, or you have old judgments, or you're worried about what other people are going to be saying, these things are kind of just leaving us today because there is no room for that anymore. And especially with this, like, tapping into this little weirdo that lives within us, those things don't matter. And we're moving our focus from worrying about the judgment and just worrying about, like, our success and what we really want to do within our life and kind of playing around with what that could be, right? We may be feeling this forward momentum, but we're also in a more solid place where we can play around with different ideas, different things, and really explore, you know, who we are and what we want to bring in. Questions we could be asking ourselves, again, is, you know, just this reiterating of, like, what are the stories we are telling, and, you know, how have we been talking to ourselves, and be honest about that, because we're in a time, or, you know, moving into this time, it's important to, you know, really, I'm gonna be a little hippy-dippy, it's important to be your own best friend, right? Be honest with yourself and listen to the way that you're speaking to yourself. If other people heard you talking to yourself, you know, is it the same way that you talk to others, or do you talk to yourself a little harshly? And even at that, that's something to look at, because a lot of times that could be stemming from, you know, something that happened in our childhood or something that happened when we were younger. So as we're in this point to move forward, I feel like that's kind of like the last little piece of the puzzle that we need to kind of bring all these things together, is paying attention to what goes on in here, because we have a lot of big ideas, we have a lot of new inspirations coming up, and the only way that we can really make that happen is if we are in support of ourselves through this process. So witness and observe, again, ourselves and how we are, you know, maybe it's just even like our friendship with ourselves, our connection with ourselves. Is it a positive one, or is it time to look at how we've maybe made that a negative environment that we feel, you know, to take space in, and maybe we shy away from that connection, and it's time to, you know, give a little love to that, set some new intentions about how we're going to speak to ourselves and how we're going to show up as support in our lives, because we're very good at supporting others or doing things from others, and when it comes to us, it's not something we really want to, like, give that much effort in, right? Like I was watching a video earlier and it was talking about like, if you're going to make somebody else a sandwich, you're going to make them the best sandwich. You're going to fill it with love. You're going to put it on a nice plate, give them a nice paper towel, maybe give them a little wine to drink with it. You make yourself a sandwich. It might be stale bread. It, might only have one piece of ham on it or whatever it is. And it's not really anything appetizing. And it's like, why are we doing that to ourselves? Why are we shortening, not extending the same love, I should say, to ourselves that we're giving to other people? It's super important right now to do that. And I think we're in a space where we can finally feel comfortable to come back to ourselves and create a solid foundation within ourselves so that the things that we see coming to fruition in these next couple months can really take up space in a comfortable way. And just again, so that's just asking ourselves self the question, where could we be holding ourselves back, and being honest about that. It's really pushing us to step up to the plate and what we want, how we want to show up in our life, what inspires us in the future, and what are the things that we're going to be doing differently. So if change is kind of a hard thing for us this month, buckle up, because some change is coming, and it can be hard if we're resistant to it, or we can be open and embrace this Aquarius energy that's coming in for us to expand, and we can just allow it to do the work that needs to be done. This is a great time, again, I guess, a great time to plan out how we see our future over the next year, what it looks like, what do we want it to feel like, what environments do we want to be in, what relationships we really want to be connecting with, because we're starting to build a new sense of community around ourselves with relationships that are authentic. And so for us to have those authentic relationships that support us, we need to also support ourselves and be authentic within ourselves so that we can have the ones that are going to help us flourish the most, right? Because there's this, with it being in Aquarius, they're about community as well. So we have this energetic support in community, in building, in innovation, in detachment from things that, just aren't serving us anymore. Also rebellion and reform. So this is an optimal time for just looking outside of the box, right? Like we've been talking about, looking at things differently, leaning into the challenges that maybe have been coming up and seeing the lessons and unique strengths and talents that has taught you, instead of, again, like reworking that narrative, instead of like, oh my gosh, this terrible thing happened to me, to like, okay, wow, I learned this and now I am stronger in this, right? Like a silly little thing that happened to me. It was very Mercury retrograde, but it could have ruined my whole day. My little sister had a cheer competition, and I thought it was on Saturday. I changed my whole books around, so my clients were coming on Sunday. It was like an hour away. I get to her cheer competition. I call my parents. I'm like, where are you? I'm so excited. And my stepmom was in Meyer, and she was like, what do you mean? The competition isn't until tomorrow. And that could have been something that really upset me, really threw my whole day off, and I was just like, okay. And I didn't learn a crazy, didn't have this crazy transformative moment where I have a new talent now, but I will now be more intentional about, really asking what the days are, getting the dates down, being real, a little bit more detail oriented about it. But before I could be like, oh my gosh, I wasted gas money, now I've been in the car for 2 hours. It's that type of thing of like changing the narrative. But what's really important to me is that I tried and I wanted to be there for my sister, and I showed up and I put the effort in to, letting her know I could be there. And I'm getting to go because I had clients to do the next day, but the intention is important, right? Or, it's just that, not allowing the things that can get you down really get you down. And if you do, you're human, that's okay. That's what we're all here for, to learn, to grow through. But it's changing that narrative that we tell, not allowing ourselves to kind of live and stay put in those negative emotions, but actively trying to get out of them and think of ways to evolve them. So we have Saturn conjuncting the Moon and the Sun. And so a conjunction is planets that are working together and that kind of intensify each other, but ultimately for a greater good. And so Saturn is ruled by Capricorn, and that's ambition, that's our business, that is, restrictions and freedom, also structure, rules, and can also be like maturity and self-realization through, painful lessons. So, you hear of Saturn return and things, sometimes it can be scary, but if you can kind of, again, like anything, tune into what it's telling you, these things can kind of come with better ease, and it takes time. But it really is going to be merging our emotional and interpersonal words to be challenged kind of by this strict teacher that is Saturn. So it is likely that you can see challenges come up relative to our emotions and our relationships. So that's coming from also like this Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde that we've been going into with this new moon together, kind of helping us look at, where we need to move forward, where we need to mature, maybe within our relationships that we've held ourselves back or we've lived in toxic type of behaviors. And this is definitely helping us take a look at that, because it's time for us to move past that. And so again, a harsh lesson might come up, but it's this kind of strict teacher because we're ready to learn that lesson. So you can, again, feel past issues, or maybe you have built up emotions that you haven't been really expressing. Those may be coming to the surface today as potential lessons on how to create how to create and co-create healthy relationships in our life. Again, so that's talking about the sense of community that we are now creating with authentic relationships. For us to have that, these old feelings have to pop up to help us get there. When Saturn is involved, there's usually powerful opportunities for growth. So be aware of that during this time, that as challenges arise, there's also a powerful opportunity to grow through it and ultimately just come out on the better side of it. So if you feel that, it's always moments, when you become aware, think about, what you can do to kind of transmute that. Maybe that's meditating, maybe that's going for a walk, expressing different energy, really getting in tune to who you are. Maybe that's connecting again to your breath, but ultimately not allowing, or a good way through some of these challenges is not allowing yourself to kind of be overcome by the emotion, and just to really kind of stick with it. And then we have the moon squaring Uranus. Squares are obstacles and restrictions, and Uranus is the planet of the miraculous, of the unexpected. It's ruled by Aquarius. So again, we have this revolutionary, rebellious, humanitarian energy to the day. And so you can see some impulsive behavior when confronted by our emotions or challenging situations, right? So these past issues that are coming up, there might be some, gravitation towards like impulsiveness, because we're feeling a little scared. We're feeling a little like, even though it's a new moon, it feels a little illuminated. There's an opportunity to see the clarity within the obstacles that arise because of this being in, Aquarius. So because we have this expansive energy, we're able to look at the bigger picture of things and not get caught up so much in the little details and get kind of tripped up by the challenges that are really just trying to kind of help us grow and help us evolve. That's why this uncomfortable energy is coming up. We can't sidestep and not feel it. But we can see it with a greater clarity that it's really ultimately here to help us grow and be in the position that we want to be in. We have Mercury and Venus going direct. Like I said, all planets will be direct by February 3rd. So Venus is the planet of our relationships and our finances, of love. Mercury is our communication. It rules logic, technology, our schedules. And retrograde is kind of like a stress test, and where you're being called to like face the shit and be intentional with how you respond and how you act with, the challenges that arise. It's really causing you to, breathe through the uncomfortable situations and, put your money where your mouth is, right? It's like, we're doing all this growth, we're doing all this progress, but when this tough stuff comes up, how do you choose to respond? How do you choose to react? How do you choose to interact with what's being presented to you? And so it's a good time, or maybe even throughout journaling, if you are, doing an intense journaling session this new moon, what is coming to the surface, being really clear and honest about that. So before we get into some journal prompts, I would like to pull a couple cards for what this new moon has in store for us. I don't usually do this, but I just really feel the need, or the desire, I should say, to do that. Alrighty. Yes, we have the Nine of Pentacles. Ooh, the Star and the Ace of Pentacles on the bottom. I love that. So our success and our authenticity and the opportunities that we have coming in toward that is the background of what this new moon is all about. And we have the Five of Wands in reverse, the Emperor in the middle, and then the Tower in reverse. So we're not experiencing this conflict that might arise is not something that we're experiencing outwardly with other people, but a conflict that we are going through internally that's ultimately going to help us free ourselves and liberate ourselves from what's holding us back, so we can align ourselves back with our desires and back with our purpose and what we are, ready to move forward on. We have the Emperor sitting in the middle, and he is in the space that is created. He builds his kingdom again. He builds from the ground up because he has wisdom, he has experience, he, has trust in his desires and understands what he desires, and he's willing to put in the work to have that. He's willing to build the solid foundation that he needs in his life, and he's about being the leader, being the authority in his life, making the hard decisions and going after what he really wants, because he knows ultimately that that's what's going to satisfy him in his life. And then we have the Tower being in reverse, and it's when it's upright like this is a major upheaval, but when I see it reversed like that, it's just a perspective shift. So where have we maybe gotten in our way from being the leader, being the authority in our life? And where can we bring ourselves back to our desire and what we really want? Where can we build, again, a solid foundation? This is just something small that's falling, and I feel like it really is a perspective in the way that we, again, see the world, how we talk about, our narratives, and how we talk to ourselves. That's what's caused the foundation to be a little shaky, and today we have the opportunity to turn that around and build something stronger. So I love that. When we add them up, we have 16 plus 4 is 20 plus 5. So we have 7. So allowing our mind and our creativity to lead the way. I love that. I always feel like when I hear the number 7, it reminds me of like Aquarius energy. I don't know why, but it does. It's using your mind and your creativity in a new way to tap back into your inspirations and your desires and soothe anything that comes up that feels uncomfortable. Okay, so now we're going to move into the journal prompts, and as I go over those, I will shuffle for an affirmation card, because I love having a little affirmation or just something. I love affirmations because in the moments where we may be feeling intense or having these, impulsive reactions to things, or if you're feeling like your emotions have gotten the best of you, I always love having an affirmation, because in those moments it helps ground me back down to what my purpose is, what I really want to do, and what I'm really trying to get out of whatever situation I'm in. So I like to, also give you that gift as well. So for the first journal prompt, we have, what are you ready to change? For the second, we have, what are your new intentions for this month? For the third, where do you find a sense of community? For the fourth, what are some lessons or challenges that have arose during Mercury and Venus retrograde, and how are you ready to integrate them? And then number 5, what is a past relationship challenge you were able to work through, and what did you learn? Alrighty. Big ones, I know, but I feel like it's super important, like I said, going forward into this, next new beginning, because as everything goes direct, we have like almost like not a clean slate, but just like, again, a solid foundation to stand on, where we are ready to really build the thing. We are really ready to build that empire for ourselves. And so to get down to the nitty gritty hard questions and ask ourselves those things, so we can be more clear on, where some of this old behavior is coming from. It's super important. It's super important to dig deep. And again, come through to that authenticity. So if you would like to know more about me, check out what I have going on. You can go to ashleyrose.com. Follow me on Instagram as well. That's Ashley Rose Tarot. We have, the links are in the description for that. And today, for our new Moon Aquarius, it has the universe responds powerfully the instant I realign with love. I love that. Yes. because that's what we're doing. We're realigning ourselves with love. We're realigning ourselves with our desires. We are speaking to ourselves with love. And when we can do that, the universe can respond to us the same way back. So I love you guys. I hope you have a great new moon in Aquarius, and I will catch you in the daily tarot readings.